Christian Parenting.
I promise that I am not adding one more thing to your to-do list on this podcast episode. But the summer typically means a break from academics for most homeschool families. Now, the curriculum is great, but if your child is not prepared for the world when they step out on their own, they'll have a lot of catching up to do, no matter what level of math they have achieved, the science experiments you did, or the classic books that they've read. Now, don't get me wrong. Those things are fine, but there is more to life than book knowledge. There is real life where they'll need to know how to interact, get along with, and function well with others, if for no other reason than for their Christian witness. I'm hoping you have a little more brain space than with your usual routine set aside for the summer to focus on teaching and growing soft skills in your homeschooler of any age. I've got a lot of ideas for you in this episode. Just pick one or two that seem the most important and see how you can be intentional this summer. Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast, where we are here to encourage you in your homeschool journey, no matter where you find yourself. I am the host. My name is Lee Nguyen, and I am blessed that you are here. Recently, a couple weeks ago, graduated my final homeschooler, and the season in life has shifted, and it's just different. But if I could go back, would I homeschool again? Absolutely. Would I do things differently? Oh yeah, we can say that about everything. But it has been the biggest blessing. I'm going to share in a couple of weeks a little bit about the graduation ceremony and some things that he said during that time, during his little speech that we required him to do, and because it shook me. And I really think that it will encourage you. So enjoy today's episode. I'll be back again in a couple more days with another episode. I hope that this one really encourages you. This is something I did not think about in the very beginning of homeschooling, but I saw how important it was. And I'm going to tell you right now, with 3 graduates, this is really extremely important. So enjoy today's episode. What are soft skills? I'm going to give you my definition first before we give you the official definition. My definition is that soft skills are basically the things that help your homeschooler not be automatically pinned as a homeschooler. That's funny. That's meant to be funny. So you're laughing, right? So the soft skills are the things that your kids can do and the way that they are, so that they aren't automatically seen as a homeschooler or labeled a weirdo. I'm paying homage to a episode a couple back where we talked all about socialization and weirdos. But homeschooler or not, right now our culture is just so focused on hard skills, or maybe you want to call them performance skills or technical skills, that a lot of the soft skills are not really happening. But guess what? I believe that it is the parents' job, not the school's job, to teach soft skills to their children. And guess what? You are in the perfect position to do this since you are homeschooling and your kids are home. Therefore, soft skills need to be a part, and you might be doing this and you don't even know that you're doing it. And I'm going to give you a virtual high five as we go through this episode. If you're saying, oh, I'm already paying attention to that. Oh, we're already working on that. Or, oh, that's already on my radar. Then good job, Mom, for recognizing that these are the things that are going to help your children to have success. Again, you could have great character and maybe not quite be fully qualified for a job, for a position or a volunteer position, whatever it is, but the person that is going to take you on or hire that child is, or I mean, I'm saying child because they're your child, but they might be a young adult at this point, might say, you know what, I see a lot of potential. I see that they want to learn. I see that they are receptive to this and they are kind, and I just think that they would really work well in this place, in this business or whatever it is. And I think a lot of opportunities will be open to our children if they have really good soft skills. But we can get super focused on soft skills and only being focused on it being for a job or career. But I really think that soft skills are biblical. I believe that they have their foundation in that. And as a Christian, as a believer in Jesus Christ, and someone who is working to trying I mean, I know it's not of our own works, but wanting to glorify God and just want to be in a right relationship with Him as much as we can, as much as we can of reading the Word and seeking sanctification and all of those things that go along with being a believer. I think that soft skills should kind of automatically be a part of that. When that character is built, these things are easier to do. Now, yes, there's going to be personalities. There's going to be kids who aren't going to be as outgoing, and you're really going to have to work on their communication skills. And then there's going to be kids who are extremely outgoing, and you're going to have to work on, okay, this is not the time to be talking. This is the time to kind of sit back and let others talk and allow others, and that would be a part of, we would say, the teamwork when it comes to soft skills. I did a quick Google search on the definition of soft skills and some examples, and just on page 1 there is tons of reading. So if you want to follow up after this episode and just search something like what are soft skills, or what are some soft skills, or definition of soft skills, you'll get a lot of information, and just even on page 1 it'll be a lot, it'll be too much. So but if you want, you can go ahead after this episode and do a quick search and go a little bit deeper. But right now, I'm just going to give you the homeschool Cliff Notes version. Now, the definition, I alluded to this already, is solely focused on soft skills being acquired to use for a job or a career. But we are seeing now, as homeschoolers here in 2025 and in the past couple of years, we're seeing that there is more to life than just a job. There is more to life than just acquiring skills to give to an employer or to give to your own business because you're an entrepreneur. There is more to life than just that. Yes, we need some type of income. So definitely somebody's going to need some soft skills to be able to acquire some income to keep your family moving forward. So it isn't something that I'm not cutting it off and saying, oh, it's silly to talk about it when it comes to job. But it's skills, like I mentioned earlier, that can just be used in all of life. It can be used in church. It can be used with friendships. It can be used in relationships. It can be used just with strangers. It can be used when you go and run errands. It can be used in so many different situations where you can make that situation that you are in, and then now that you're teaching your homeschool child to be in, they can actually make the situation so much better. And we should want these soft skills because of our faith, and because then that means that we can add goodness to the world, and we can be the good, and we can be the light just by carrying ourselves in a way that we can relate to others, and that we can do well in whatever position or volunteer or in your neighborhood, in anything. Basically, soft skills are attributes that you have that helps you interact well with others. I found a few lists. I'm going to give you just one list that is a little bit short. So there's some of them are like, 7, and then there's 10 or 20, and one had like 105. I was like, okay, that's a little much. But these are just going to be categories. So this one list gave me 7 soft skills, and I thought these were good categories to bring up. The first is adaptability. Second is communication skills, critical thinking skills, interpersonal skills, presentation skills, problem-solving skills, human skills, and teamwork skills. So from that list, and just from some others that I have incorporated into my own family's life or ones that I have observed, I'm just going to give you a list and some ideas. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is to write some of them down and say, okay, this is what we're going to work on this summer. You can't do everything. And I'm speaking to you, and I don't quite know exactly the ages of your kids. So you have to look at your children. You might have, the oldest might be 5 years old, or your oldest might be 15 years old. And so take a look at their ages. And for each of these, you might be at the beginning stage of introducing this soft skill or working on this soft skill, or it might just be, we need to take things to the next level, or this next level, depending upon the age of your children. So let's talk about teamwork. How can you incorporate teamwork into your summer? Well, an idea would be to assign your children, the siblings, a project, or maybe a chore that they have to do together. It doesn't have to be siblings. You can do something with friends or some other way, but this is just a very easy way to be able to do it at home. You don't have to go anywhere, and maybe this could be really good for kids if you're at the beginning levels of teaching soft skills, of teaching teamwork to them. Because at least then if they're going to get into an argument or the teamwork is not very good, then you can say, okay, it's just my kids here and I'm going to teach them this here. Or it could be that maybe your kids are just not clicking, they're not getting along, and having some type of chore or some type of project to do this summer would really be good for them to work on their teamwork. And hopefully then it will also build better relationships with them and help them work on their communication. With teamwork, there's a lot of problem solving that has to go on. There is problem solving in our life where it's us just having to problem solve on our own. And it doesn't necessarily directly affect, or at that moment, it doesn't affect anybody else, or we are responsible for problem solving. Think about all the problem solving that you do day in and day out as a mom. Well, something presents itself and you have to decide. It's not important for you to maybe consult your husband on that. For bigger things, yes, but you just have to decide at that moment. Maybe you're going to go to the pool and everybody is just having a meltdown. And you're like, okay, how can we make this work with still going to the pool? And there's just some problem solving you have to do. But in teamwork, it takes it to a whole new level when you have to problem solve. And you're going to have some kids, they're going to be like, no, this is how we have to do it. I know this is how it's going to work. And so you're going to help them work on their problem solving, work on their communication, and work on sometimes allowing their sibling to say, I want to do it this way. This is the way we need to do it. And another child knowing that it's not going to quite work that way. And you're able then to teach that other child who knows it's not going to work, like, it's okay. It's okay to let them fail. And so there's no exhaustive list when it comes to soft skills. I think when you start, as I'm talking here, I'm talking about teamwork, and then it's growing into problem solving, and then it's growing into communication. So they're all, I think, just intertwined. I don't think we can always just put it underneath one category. And again, these soft skills are things that are going to help your children in relationships with other people, whether it is strangers or it is people in a place of authority over them, or if they are in a leadership position and it's people that are below them, whether it's employees or just somebody that has to answer to them. It can be in church, it can be with friends, it can be in a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend someday, and just so many different ways that they can then apply this. All right, so let's then get into communication. So maybe teamwork. Let's go to teamwork. I really like this one. I'm going to encourage you to do this one. Come up with some type of project or some type of chore. Not like I need the bathrooms cleaned. Maybe it's, I need the bathrooms cleaned every week. Like, I want maybe like a bigger chore. Maybe it's cleaning out the basement. Maybe it is going through and decluttering something. Maybe it's a playroom. Maybe it's cleaning up the garage or working on a garden. Some type of chore or project that's bigger than just taking a couple of minutes or even just taking a couple of hours, something that maybe was going to take them days to do. Maybe you want them to build a doghouse. Maybe you want them to design, I don't know, a tree house, and dad's going to help them then build it. I don't know. Just think of what you can have your kids do, and think of something that's not just going to happen one time, but that's something that they have to really work through. And maybe by the end of the summer, this big chore or this big project is complete. And that would be a fun way to end the summer, right? All right, let's go on to communication. Right now, with maybe your schoolwork, your curriculum put aside, I think you might hopefully find yourself with a little bit more brain space. Because during the homeschool year, we can just get so focused on our curriculum and we forget about some of these soft skills, and we forget about our kids doing things that basically that we are doing things for them that they could be doing that would actually be helping to teach them things, especially when it comes to communication here. So things like maybe you're at a restaurant, or maybe you stop somewhere at an ice cream shop one evening. I know we like to do that often now, don't we? Right? When the weather gets warmer, stop for some ice cream. And instead of you ordering for your child, you have them order themselves. You show them this is the list. Maybe they can't even read. That's okay. Read off the different ice creams and then talk to them about the different sizes, and you can decide if you're going to let them get something bigger than just a small or a kitty size. But telling them what exactly to say, and you might have to pick them up to the counter so that they can communicate with probably the teenager on the other side of the counter what exactly that they want, and walk them through that process of deciding and then knowing exactly how to say it and being able to communicate that. Afterwards, giving them the money, then getting the ice cream and saying thank you. It could be out to dinner. It could be anywhere. It could be at the post office, the bank, the grocery store. Encourage your children of any age to be the one that then interacts with the other person. Interacting with those in our neighborhood, interacting with those in the church. Again, this is something that we should be doing all year long. However, I know that our brain space can kind of just get so full and so much is going on. So I want to encourage you now that maybe you have a little bit room to think about this instead of you going up and doing it. Be like, no, let me step back and let me have them do it. Let me empower them to be able to do this. Now, older children, an example could be maybe they have a driver's license and they go do grocery shopping for you. Maybe not a whole big order. Maybe it's just a couple of small things, but let's make sure they know where things are in the grocery store. Talk to them through it. Maybe you do it. They come with you more often and they see what you're doing, and then you can just send them out. But just a little bit of things like that, running some errands for you where they are doing it themselves. So this is taking it to another level. This is assuming that you had that little child that you're picking up and that they are putting an order at the ice cream store. And now they're older and they're just going to the grocery store for you. You give them a list, you give them some cash or a credit card, and they go ahead and do it. And so it's taking it to another level. So that would be oral communication. There's also written communication. You know what would be fun? How about maybe some pen pals for the summer? Now, don't roll your eyes. I know sometimes you're like, oh no, that's more work. But maybe it's just your older child or one child that you have that's interested in communicating with somebody else. Maybe it's a cousin that lives further away. And I know you can get onto FaceTime. They can go through maybe your cell phone and text to their cousin or something like that. But there's something about writing an old-fashioned letter. Nobody, absolutely nobody, dislikes getting mail. Everybody loves to get mail. Think about when you go to the mailbox. I still get mail and I'm like, ooh, what is this? It's pretty much junk mail, or most of it's for my son who owns his own business. I would say probably 98 to 99% of the mail that comes through is for him. So I go through the mail, I just put it at everybody's seat in the dining room table, and the rest is usually junk. But still, once in a while, there is something fun in there, which lately I've been getting some graduation announcements and graduation party invites. So those are really exciting to get. So another child is going to love getting a letter. Maybe it's just a postcard, or maybe it's a whole letter, but don't take this to like the level of, we're going to really work on our writing skills. And this is a child that maybe cries when you're talking about writing. I have done a couple of episodes about writing. You can take your homeschool mom hat off and just let them have some fun with it. So written communication. Get a pen pal and have them write some letters over the summer. Another one is adaptability. It is a skill that is often, I would say, lacking, and easily lacking with children. What do I mean by adaptability? It basically is when things are not going their way, we teach them how to react better. We teach them that, okay, yeah, we really wanted to go and do this, but we can't do it because of whatever the reason is. So let's adapt. Or we did get here. We had this whole day planned, and for some reason the place is closed or something. Now, I remember when my kids were really young, and they were on, my husband and I said, they were on a need-to-know basis, and they didn't need to know much. I remember when they were really quite young, we had a day planned to go to the zoo. We lived just maybe 2-3 hours from Washington, D.C., and so we were going to go to the National Zoo. And this is when you didn't have weather apps. You only had the weather from what you could watch on the news, at the 5 o'clock news, and that was pretty much it. And so we had this day planned. My husband had already had off and everything, and we woke up that day and it was pouring rain. Now, we hadn't told our kids. I think at that time we only had 2 kids. We hadn't told them, and we were like, whew, I am so glad that we did not tell them. I'm glad that they are on a need-to-know basis, because they would have been devastated. And at those ages, I was like, it's not even worth it. They have learned to adapt to things. So there are some times in some ages, and you're like, you know what, they are on a need-to-know basis, and they don't need to know very much at all. But now that they're older, I can tell them we're going to go and do this. And oftentimes I'll say, as long as the weather's okay. But it's working through that so that they can then adapt to a situation. Or you get somewhere, you think it's going to be a certain way. I find this happens a lot when you go to volunteer places. You're like, okay, this is what it's going to be. And you get there and you're like, oh no, that is definitely not what this is like. And you have to adapt to the situation that you are put into. So teaching them to react better. Again, we have a little bit of more brain space and we can sit down and talk through things with them. And sometimes this all feels so tedious and you feel like, is this actually going to be worth it? I promise you that it is worth it. How about time management? I got 2 more here for you. Time management. And that's teaching them maybe to be more, just better with their time. That's basically what time management is. So what is an example? Maybe their chores, instead of during the homeschool year, you might say, you have this 30-minute window from the time that we finish breakfast until we want to do our morning time to get your chores done. Maybe in the summer, you give them a little bit more time and just see how long it takes them, and they find out, oh, it took me 2 hours. I didn't get to play at all because I was too busy complaining about having to make my bed. But giving them some ways that they can manage their time. This is going to be also depend upon their age. As they get older, we want to increase this even more. We want to give them a little bit more responsibility for managing their time because at some point here, they're going to be out of the house. And having that skill, it's going to be so helpful for them. So they are not wasting their time. Last one here, we're going to close it out. And this is not one that I found on any list, but this is my own personal one. How about the soft skill of observation? How many adults are completely oblivious? They don't even see things. An actual example that just happened a couple weeks ago is someone who lives nearby had styrofoam all at the top of their garbage can, and the lid flew up. It was a very windy evening, and their styrofoam was all over the neighborhood. This neighbor came out, saw it, got in their car, and drove away. And other people had to clean up the styrofoam. So I don't know if this person saw it or not and chose not to see it, but that's just a small, like a one-time example of something like, oh, okay, did he not see it? Did he see it but not really see it? The skill of observation, of being able to see things and to notice things, but then also tie that into, especially younger kids. A lot of younger kids will notice things and they'll say things out loud. We're like, no, that's not how we don't want to say it out loud so everybody knows. Maybe let's be a little discreet to tell the woman who has her skirt tucked into her underwear in the back after she used the restroom. Let's do it a little bit more discreetly. But just the soft skill of observation, of being able to even see and interpret kind of how people are reacting to something and to notice things around us. I feel like it's a skill that is really going to serve kids really well.